September the 9th, 2016. Second installment of the Pod Squad podcast. I'm Chris.
Yo, Big Grizz up in this joint.
Boy, arrogant in the building, you already know.
And we got a special guest with us today, a legend in his own right, son of the late Mr. Garrett Shider from Parliament Funkadelic, which he is a member of Parliament Funkadelic himself, Garrett Shider.
What's up, fellas and ladies out there?
So we brought the big fish in here today, boy.
My funky P-Funk
Hey,
already,
stop
man.
that. I ain't no
Already,
big fish.
you know.
I'm still breaking my way through. I'm still trying to kick the door into it.
Hey, it's a blessing to have you here, brother.
I appreciate it.
Man, you know?
Yeah, you know. I know
How's
you.
everybody today?
Hey, I can't complain. I'm just excited to get back in here to do this next thing.
It's Friday. I ain't got no job.
You already know, man.
Well, unfortunately, I gotta work first thing in the morning. You know, we play in Canal Park tomorrow. It's a free show too, so y'all feel free to come out. It's out there
Where's
in
Canal
Southeast.
Park?
It's in Southeast, out by the Navy Yard.
Oh, you finally
Okay,
found
man.
out where it was, huh?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
sure.
What time is that?
We play at 5:45 to 6:45. We play.
Okay.
That's
Come out and support.
Now, Park, 5:45, 6:45. We out there, man.
Southeast.
Yeah, y'all come get y'all some funk early in the day.
Absolutely. You said earlier, that's in the evening, right?
Well, that's early for us.
Okay.
That's actually
Yeah.
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 Oh,
So,
man.
so Garrett, you've been in the game for a little while. You know, the evolution of music has gone from analog to digital, which digital makes things a little bit more convenient and I would say easier to do, but I think it takes away from the artist. What's your opinion on it? Which one you like? What's the pros and cons, and which one do you prefer?
Well, I'll tell you what. I prefer digital because when I actually started putting my hands on the studio, it was digital. You know what I'm saying? However, I do miss the sound of analog. I do miss that sound.
You think there's more warmth when it comes to
Oh,
analog?
most definitely. But see, the thing about it is we have to all understand that, you know, that was something that we had, you know what I mean? And people who, you know, do not grow up with that, you know, that's not the same. It doesn't have the same effect on them. So with that being said, you know, we're in a digital age and technology is always advancing and always advancing past its last advance. You know what I mean? And it seems like a weekly occurrence. So with that being said, man, you know, there's no sense in being stuck in the mud. You know, you might as well, you know, embrace the new century. You know, welcome to the 21st century. You know,
No doubt. Now,
might as well embrace it. Don't get left behind.
you say embracing now, you know, you play with Parliament, man. So I know these guys they have to be somewhat partial to analog. Do they embrace the digital era like you do?
Right.
Do you see the Cheshire Cat smile on my face right now? This is the reason for that smile. Because if you guys come to Canal Park, if you haven't seen P-Funk in like the last 5 or 10 years, then what you're going to see is a new and improved P-Funk.
Okay.
You know, you would think that, but no, these days George has fully embraced all of the digital and the auto tune and all of the, you know, all that comes with it. These days we're rolling with a new crew, and most of the crew is there are a few younger kids, for lack of a better word. I don't mean to call them kids. I just, you know, they're actually all grown. They're just younger than me. So, so with that being said, it's kind of a new crew that we're rolling with. A lot of a few of his grandkids, a few kids that are, you know, they're closer to their age that hang out at his studio that he's either signed to his label or that he's doing records with, or he put them on his latest Funkadelic record, which came out last year, and he's touring with that now. And he's making sure that they get a chance to, you know, get their feet wet and be seen. And, you know, he's showing the world this new and improved Funkadelic. So he's definitely gone digital. Yeah, we've definitely gone digital. You know, that you would expect that, but no, George has always been the kind of guy who keeps his ear to the streets and tries to find a way to keep himself current. He has
That's how you do it,
always
man.
been that,
Okay.
and his way of doing that has always been, he tunes into the whatever the generation is. He tunes into those that younger generation, and he pulls them in. He keeps them around. He watches what they do. He lets them do what they do, and he kind of just he just kind of for I guess he finds his way in their world,
All
and he
right.
just kind of finds a way to do what he does on top of what it is that they do. And that's what it's always been. Even the P Funk that we all loved in the '70s, those bands, was the same deal. George was always a little older than most of the band members. Most of the band members, they were all, teens, and some of them in their 20s. When he was starting that off.
Okay.
And he was probably in his 30s already.
Now,
So
now I went to Omega and learned analog and digital
okay.
recording, and I noticed with analog, there's a lot more work that has to go into it. Musicians have to be truly musicians
That
because
is very true.
you mess up a take, you got to do it
Oh,
over
that is
All the
very
way
true.
over.
all the
And
way.
you only had limited number of tracks to work with, and you
Exactly.
had to make it work.
Yeah.
So do you think that with digital allowing you to have unlimited tracks, do you think with analog restricting you to a certain amount, did that make the music better because you had to almost be
Yeah,
perfect in your play?
well, that, yes, that, and also with the limited amount of tracks, in my opinion, it kept you from being able to really overproduce a track. Because now, if you listen to most any music, there's so many bells and whistles going on, and it's so much going on in the track that whoever the artist is that's on the track doesn't even really have to do much work.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it's really easy to overproduce a track nowadays. Everything sounds like it's just,
Okay.
Yeah,
to
technology.
me.
Technology
And
makes
I'm not
things-
hating, not at all. Like I said, I understand that the stuff that I like is just not what it is anymore. It's a new
Sometimes
thing.
less is
And
more.
yeah, exactly. It's beauty and simplicity.
Absolutely. Well, knowing this guy and having recorded with Garrett, man, I remember, your father and them being on tour, and you would go sometimes. You wouldn't go all the time. Now that you're full band member, full partner, fully enthralled, do you miss like being able to, since you have children, do you miss being able to be back home when you got to hit the road and stuff like that?
Yeah, of course you do. Because the road is rough. Especially in our band, because George is not necessarily like a diva, or he is he is, but he's not like that guy that's I got to travel first class everywhere, and my pillows got to
Right.
be fluffed up a certain way, and he's not that guy.
Still puts his pants on like everybody else.
Yeah,
Or like
he's
everybody.
always been kind of lunch pail, blue collar with the way that he's done his thing. Even when it was prominent, it was, you could, if you were around it, then you could see where it was very much, like, wow,
Okay.
this is very, you can relate to what's going on.
Right. Gotcha.
That's why what I think the appeal has been. So with that being said, the road, people always have this vision of what it is to be on tour.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And they always think it's always fun and games 24/7, what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And then sleep, wake up, fun, play
Right,
music.
exactly. So when I think
24/7.
of tour, right, I think screaming fans, sold out arenas, you on tour, you know what I'm saying? You backstage with all the
Exactly.
artists. It's just fun.
So first and foremost, George is not that artist that he's going to be selling out arenas anymore. So we're scaled down to now we're doing more clubs and
more personal.
yeah, we still do here. When we come here, we can probably sell out like the Howard Theater, stuff like that. We play Howard Theater. We do 930 Club when we play here in DC. Venues like that are pretty common for us. So that's not a part of what we're doing. So first and foremost, our travel thing. We got a lot of people that we travel with.
Okay.
That was cool in the 70s. But after the 70s, yeah. That's what I'm getting at. You see what ended up happening. You see what ended up happening to him. That's what I'm getting at, right? Yeah. So in order to be able to pull that off for as long as he's been able to pull that off, you got to cut corners, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
So with that being said, definitely is not first class, you know. And another thing to that, George is never really worried about, you know, doing things in an organized kind of way. You know, this is
George don't give a fuck.
this is that's all I say. This is the P-Funk. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So with that being said, if my money is in New York today, and then the next bit of money is in LA tomorrow, we're gonna have to find a way to get from New York to LA in a day.
The whole crew.
Figure that out. Yeah, the whole crew. We're gonna have to figure that out.
Now, do they put that on one person, or do you all sit down and try to figure that out?
Yes, yeah. Of course, all that has to be delegated. You know, a lot of management to this.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, with that being said, imagine how that goes. You know, we're playing the show. You know, and now within the next few hours, you know, you're gonna have to be on an airplane.
Niggas missing the flight
to go do the same thing the next day, you know, and then probably from LA, you know, you probably have to go to, you know, Oregon the next day after that, which is not that's another stretch. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a hell of a stretch. Yeah. So that's how we do it, bro.
Woo.
You know what I mean? That's how we've always done it. You know, no one out there can do it like we do.
So when you guys get to the venue, sometimes I look at that as almost like a basketball team that's...
You see these bags under my eyes?
Hitting the road and got to suit up the next night.
It's not just because of all the smoking, man.
Yeah,
it's not that. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
I feel... You know, I feel good. Don't get me wrong. But after you come off of one of those tours... Prime example. I've spent all of July over in Europe. 26 days I just did in Europe.
Wow.
Yeah, 26 days. What did we do? I think 20 shows.
20 shows in 26 days.
In 26 days.
That's grueling.
Yeah.
Damn.
When you come home from something like that.
26 shows in 26 days.
20 shows in 26 days.
In Europe.
Wow. Not in the States. In Europe. You know what I'm saying? So, for those who don't get to travel like that, I'm going to tell you what that enthralls.
Okay.
A flight to Europe, which is at least 7-8 hours, depending on where you're going. You know what I mean? It could be longer than that, just depending on where you're going. A border crossing, if you fly, how about the first week we did, first week and a half, it was a flight every day. Every day. Show. Flight the next morning. Show, flight the next morning. So now, if you're flying like that kind of travel, you crossing, you know, you got to go through border patrols, customs, and airplanes, connecting flights, you know, and connecting flights in some place like Europe, you know, it's nothing to travel country to country in Europe, but you're going to cross borders depending on how you do it.
Gotcha.
So if you if you take a flight here and I'm going out west and I connect from here through Dallas, it's just me going through Dallas to go through LA. But now if I'm going from London to Serbia and I'm taking a connecting flight through Italy or Spain or something like that, then that's a border crossing when I get to London, jump on a flight to go to Spain, to cross a border, go through security all over again like I just got through the airport, you know what I mean? Wait to get on another flight to go do the same thing, go through borders patrols and all that, which takes... Yeah, it's exhausting is what I'm getting at. It's exhausting is what I'm getting at. And then you have to come right out of that to go to a venue, to go do a show, and then you get maybe 3 hours of sleep before you have to go do the same thing again. That was the first week and a half. That was the first 2 weeks of our European tour over there before we got to a bus. Then when we got to the bus, everything was in the UK. So now you have to, we had the bus, but now you have to get on the ferry to go back and forth across the English Channel, which is another border crossing. When you have to cross borders, you know what I mean? All this stuff that goes into all of that is, it's prep that goes into all of this,
Hell
man.
yeah.
You know, doing this every day for 26 days in a country that's, you're so far away from home. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what to eat.
You gotta find a plug every time.
You gotta find a plug for
I was about to say, when do y'all get the smoke, bro?
Oh, well, yeah, bro.
With all that border crossing.
You have to find the plug.
Yes,
and you didn't hear this from me, but it's good to know how to hide your shit.
Oh, no, that's right.
You
I know
that's
right.
from me, though.
Question right there. Like,
Yeah.
So how about this? You know what? I regret that last statement.
We'll edit that out. But
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
I got a question.
I'm teasing.
I got a question. Before your father passed, was he still traveling like that?
Oh yeah, he spent 40 years of his life doing that.
Wow.
40 years of his life.
Wow.
My dad started following George and left home at 16 years old. He passed away at 56 years old, and a month before he passed away, when he found out that he was dying of cancer, he was still on the road trying to complete a month tour.
Wow.
He was still trying to be on tour for a month. You know what I'm saying? He did this for 40 straight years.
Now, let me say something about your father while we're on the topic. I got the pleasure to know him for maybe about 3 years, I'd say, before he passed. And he was one of the most humble, down-to-earth celebrities that you could ever come across. I mean,
with the notoriety that he has. I mean, everybody knows the Diaper Man, bro.
Yeah.
I give you a prime example of that in my house. I'm born in 1978. 78 is the peak of Parliament Funkadelic, is when they were in their height.
Bootsy still in the
Bootsy was his own guy. You know what I mean? Bootsy and the Rubber Band.
Okay.
You know, Parliament Funkadelic, though, in 1978, that was their peak.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They ruled the radios. Everything that was coming on the radio
Still
was
disco
Parliament record.
Yeah, gotcha.
Everything was coming on the record. All right, that's when I was born. Now, keep in mind, P-Funk's peak was from 78 to but their peak was from about 76 is when it started to about 79.
Okay.
After that, dropped off the table. Everything kind of fell to crap, and that's when all the legal stuff started to happen, and that's when everything just kind of became ugly, right? So now I'm 2-3 years old at this time. At 2-3 years old, that's when you really are starting to have your first kind of, that's when you're kind of first aware of what's going on around you, right?
Right.
So all that to say, I don't really recall when it was, when it was that thing.
Okay.
My first recollections is when it was still that, but we did not have any money. We weren't this is now we're cutting corners and living it's really grimy, right? So what I'm getting at is, for all my years from about 2-3 years old until I was about 15, all I knew of P-Funk music was the stuff that I saw them perform on stage. And as far as I was concerned, those few songs were spread out amongst maybe 3 albums that we had in our house, records that were actually in our house. We had the Cosmic Slop record in our house. We had the Mothership Connection record in our house. And I think we had One Nation Under a Groove in our house. I think those are the 3 that we had, right? Mm-hmm. As far as I was concerned, every P-Funk record that I ever seen them perform was on them 3 records, as far as I was concerned, right? So now, for all those years, that was my thinking. My friends parents would find out who my dad was and they would go crazy, and I would just not understand why they were going crazy.
Right.
You know, because we lived right down the street from them. You know, like, you know, I didn't get it.
Right.
So about 93 is when I turned 15, and all of the Funkadelic stuff, the that was on Westbound. So all the stuff from the first Funkadelic record all the way to 1975, 6, right? It was all became it was reissued. When it was reissued, we got a shipment of all of those records in CD to our house.
Okay.
Along with this other one, it was a mashup of some of the greatest, so some of the best songs off of all of those albums on one record. And that album was called Music for My Mother. And inside this record, it had a little storybook, kind of a story booklet, you know, kind of taught you a kind of brief history of that era of the Funkadelic, right?
Okay.
So now we get this box, and I'm going through these records, and I'm seeing all these different Funkadelic records. Now I'm 15 years old now. I'm looking at all these records like, wow, you know, and I'm listening to this stuff now. I'm starting to listen, and some of these records now, this is the first time. I'm 15. This is the first time now that I've heard my dad on feature, you know, some of his features from when he was young, you know, from 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. You know, I had never heard him sing on, you know, the way I heard him featured on some of these records, because these are records that they have never performed and probably will never perform, right?
Okay.
I had never heard him do some of the things that he had done, and it was like I was hearing him for the first time.
That had to be awesome.
Yeah. So now, with that being said, you know, I'm living with him. He's
my dad.
You know, I'm doing this, and he's probably going from his room to you know, to the kitchen to go get a glass of water or something like this while this is going on, and I'm having to come out the door and catch him and pull him aside like, bruh.
Right.
You know, this is I'm playing. You know, that's you, bro.
No doubt,
That's you.
Yeah, no doubt.
That you're telling me that just, you know, that's you doing that. That's you. You wrote this song. You know, you sang that. You know, I'm finding myself doing it. I'm a fan now.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? I've become a fan.
Rightfully so.
And all I can remember is every time that I would do that, he would go, "Oh man."
That's humility right there.
Yeah, he would go, "Oh man, you know."
Now,
he didn't play that music in the house. I discovered it on my own.
So he didn't.
I discovered it on my own. The only stuff that he would play would be the stuff that they were working on.
Current stuff.
Just the stuff that they were working on, because you know you don't make that kind of music without being in the studio every day of your life, right?
Right.
So that never changed, even when they weren't in their peak anymore in the 80s and 90s, and you know, until he passed, bro. You know,
It was still in the studio.
Oh yeah, always in the studio. Even if the records weren't all coming out, they were gonna always be in the studio because that's what they did, and that's all he played. That's all he played because he was a producer. You know, he was a producer then. So that's all he played.
You know, it was until my later years, and I've always heard Atomic Dog, One Nation Under the Groove, Knee Deep. I heard these songs on the radio and really didn't pay attention to who it was. It's like, you know, and then, you know, when George Hancock introduced me to your father and was like, "This is Garrett Shider from Parliament Funkadelic." I'm like, okay, I heard of them, but what do they sing? You know? And then finally, you know, just researching on the internet this day and age, you know, you can find out anything. I'm like, okay, so that's who Parliament Funkadelic is. And then start listening to the music. I'm like, that sound like Gary. That is Gary. And I'm like, and then I start researching the discographies and the history of everything. And I'm looking at his producer credits and stuff like that. I'm like, man, he's responsible for a lot of music.
Bro, this is me at 15. and I've been living with the man all my life, bro. This is me at 15. That's the epitome of humility, is what that was my whole point right there.
Now, do you think he was private in that regard? or do you just think it was just straight humility? Like,
It was just humility because trust me, if you talked with him and kicked it with him, then you can tell that the confidence of I'm a
Yeah.
dude who has
Oh yeah, I've
many
seen that.
hits
Okay.
and been that cat.
And that's swag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could see every bit of that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But exactly, that's you know what. That's why everybody liked him. You know, in my 5 years of being a full-time member of this band and coming across some of his old acquaintances and just some of his fans or people who have, you know, had spent just a few minutes with him,
Right.
they all, it's the same common thing. They all loved him because they all, you know, were in awe of him, and when they finally got a chance to actually encounter him, it's all the common thing.
Yeah,
He made me feel like I was, you know,
Okay.
like I was one of him, or you know what I mean.
real
He
person.
He
yeah,
put-
he
yeah,
accepted me like I was, you know what I mean, and kicked it with me like I was, you know,
You had a
some
real
cat that he
connection,
had.
man.
Right.
he was a star that put himself in reach. That's
Exactly.
What
This
That's
is how
awesome.
I explain it. His kind of role was he was an extension of George, because George is that cat. He was the cat who, you know, he's the boss and he's like the star and he's the one who everyone comes back there looking for or whatever the case. But he's going to be the unaccessible one.
Okay. The star. George.
Yeah, he's
Gotcha.
gonna be the unaccessible one because he's, you know, and not because he's that star, but he would be that guy that you have to work to get to him.
Okay. Okay.
My pops is, you know, you have to get through him first. My pops is the one that you have to go through
The
first.
gangster.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the one who's gonna say, okay, you the cat who you want to see George? Oh, well, let me check you out a little bit. What's
Right.
your name?
Background
you know,
check.
where you from? Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Let me bust your balls a little bit. You know what I mean?
See how
And
sensitive you are.
Yeah, see what you
Gotcha,
about. And
gotcha.
you know what I mean? He was that cat, man. He was very humble, and that's why I guess I'm so humble, because I that's one lesson that I really picked up from him, man. And I'm not half the people person that he used to be. You know what I'm saying? He was the kind of, you know, like I say, he was very accessible, and, you know, I could tell he liked, you know, kind of dealing with people.
Okay.
Me, I am a little more guarded. I'm a little more private person, you know what I mean? And I'm a lot more quiet, you know what I
Right.
mean? I'm more, and you know, some people probably do kind of mistake it for me being kind of, I guess,
standoffish.
yeah,
maybe?
standoffish or whatever, but it's not that. I'm just a quiet person. I just don't have as much to talk about.
Right. And you know, me and Garrett, we used to make hip hop records, so I know Garrett likes to rhyme too.
Yeah, I haven't done so much of that these days. Man.
Oh, really?
Well, like I said, man, I had to realize one day that this is not my game anymore.
Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. You
You
gotta
know?
retire.
Exactly.
You gotta
this is not my game anymore. You
Right.
know,
Now,
so-
speaking of that, though, what do you think? Because I go back to the Chronic album, all those early West Coast Dr. Dre joints, and how influential Parliament was to his sound.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you guys infused hip hop somewhat? Because I hear Parliament in a lot of that West Coast funk, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. How about this?
Yeah.
How about this? Even deeper than that, you know, you look at like Houdini and African Bambaataa and acts like that, and look at their stage shows.
Oh man,
Exactly.
rip
Look at
off.
their stage show.
Exactly.
Straight
I'm
knockoff
not gonna
joint.
say no. I'm not gonna say knockoff, rip off. I'm gonna say you can see the influence all over this. You know, all over it when they were on
Especially
stage.
African Bambaataa.
Yeah,
Jesus
you
Christ.
can see the influence.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, so even deeper than, you know, not only did it infuse the sound, but it also infused the culture.
Yes.
You know, because
Yes.
that was the beauty of Parliament Funkadelic, man. Parliament Funkadelic was, you know, it was in a class by itself. You know, it was its own club.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And you couldn't just, you know, like Parliament Funkadelic is special to the point that no one can even imitate it.
at all.
You know, and a lot of their peers from the 70s and those bands those funk bands in the the early 80s,
Right.
They tried their best to imitate that sound.
Large
And that's what
ensemble,
you
yeah.
and what you get if you really listen, it's anything but, you can you can tell the difference in P-funk and other funk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what made this thing what it is, and that's all the hip hop culture has always been. It's always been a rebellious culture. That's what it was when it started. It was that's why I say we gotta understand the kids. It was kids who had found a way to make their voice heard and it's insert themselves into society. Something that they could grasp onto, something that we can be good at,
right.
Something that you motherfuckers can't take away from us.
Absolutely.
And the more that y'all keep telling us that it's just a fad and it ain't gonna last, watch this shit.
Right.
Watch how we make this shit be more than a fad.
In your travels, like your European travels, because I know or I read that overseas music is well received than it is here in the States. It's like tossed out here in the States. How are the millennials, like we were talking about earlier, how are they, reacting to you guys?
Ooh, I'm gonna tell you, that's how I can tell we're really lacking over here. Okay. Because now, don't get me wrong, they're millennials. They still, it's a generational thing. They still like the same kind of thing. However, somehow or another, they seem to be so much more in tuned into the music that created what it is that they like. You know what I mean? Yes. They're not like our kids where, I understand our kids. We were the same way. You get tired of people telling you, your shit ain't shit, that ain't shit, that ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? And of course, the natural, reaction after you motherfuckers keep telling you that, well, fuck you. Your shit ain't shit. So once you've already got that attitude, then you're going to listen to stuff with a closed mind anyway, right?
Right.
So that's the difference in our kids over here and their kids over there.
Okay.
Our kids are so tuned to fuck that old shit,
right?
Because y'all think our shit ain't shit. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And over there, they like what they like, and they also like what laid the foundation for the stuff that they like.
That's respect.
So they know about a Roy Ayers, the festivals that we do over in Europe. We're on jazz festivals first and foremost. Funk and jazz, but we're on jazz festivals. Like I said, we're playing with cats like Roy Ayers, and then you got your Fred Wesleys over there, and all these different genres of cats that are brought together at one festival, and you have an audience full of young kids who are out there dancing and singing along and enjoying it and receiving it for what it is. And the beautiful thing about it is a lot of those kids are seeing it for the first time and just kind of being put onto it and seeing it for the first time and becoming, and they're fans. They're like,
they're not stoic. They're not standing there just like with blank looks.
No. They're definitely not doing that. But what I'm getting at is even deeper than that is after they've experienced it live, now they're going back and buying every record that they can find because they still do that too. They'll buy they'll go buy records and go research. Now I want to get everything that I can. P-Funk, because he amazed me so much at this festival.
That's what a live show do to you.
That's what a good live show, that's what it will do to you. Right. So I love to play overseas, man, because you can just tell that they still appreciate really good music, And what's really popular now, especially in Europe now, is this EDM music.
Oh man,
is killing.
Yeah.
These DJs are superstars.
They mix that shit so loud.
But this is the best thing about it, man. Like we're on these festivals and some of these DJ cats. So I'm like, who is? We did a festival with some cat, David Guetta. David Guetta.
That motherfucker got some nice joints though.
Okay, how about this? I had no clue who David Guetta was at this festival, right?
Oh shit!
Yeah, and he was in the dressing room right next to us. Had no
huge motherfucking
and even
star
deeper than
too,
this.
man.
How about this? And he was giving the people shit because our dressing room was next to him. He was mad that we was smoking next to him.
Oh
and
shit!
shit.
Wow.
Yeah,
Deal with it.
That's what the DJs have become. The DJs are now the divas.
Yeah.
However, do you know this cat? And I hope y'all not listening in Europe. Don't y'all rob this cat. But do you know this cat got paid, I think, 100,000 euros to be on this festival? So now they're paying these DJs this kind of money. And essentially, this is what you're paying for. This cat is up here going...
Jumping up and down and shit.
Pumping his fist.
Everybody say hey, 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 $100,000.
Jesus Christ.
No, euros, not dollars.
So that's more than
Euros.
100 G's.
buddy.
Jeez.
100,000 euros, man.
Chris, get some turntables, mom.
Yeah, we
Bro,
got
EDM music
Switch
is where
our-
it's at, man. And
switch
I'm
my
telling you.
career.
So now, for DJ, now how does that make the band feel that's actually playing live music, not sitting there behind a laptop pumping your fist? Niggas got to know how to read music and shit.
No, how
like
about,
skill level.
and even deeper than that. And the promoter is like, what the hell do you mean you want beer? You want beer, you know? And
Damn.
David Guetta's got all the beer.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? That's where it's at now. Yeah, that makes you feel like shit.
that really tells us
No,
it's a
you know
sad
what?
state, man.
No. I'm not gonna say that because that sounds like hate. Like I said, you have to embrace the fact that it's a new day and a new time and a new era, and they like new shit.
Jesus Christ,
That's what you gotta chalk that up to, man. They like new shit.
Yeah. I understand your mom. She was an artist too, right?
Oh yeah.
Miss
She
Linda
wrote
Shider.
a few of those Parliament songs too.
She's on some of them records, ain't she?
She's on a lot
Yes,
of them
indeed.
records.
Yes,
I said she
indeed.
even wrote a couple. So
Wow.
So it's in your blood, man. Now, my thing is replacing the exact place where your dad was. How does that feel for you when you hit the stage, man?
Well, I tell you what, I don't look at it that way.
Okay.
I don't look at it that way because first off, you can't replace that. I can't replace that.
Okay.
You know, that dude, what he meant to Parliament Funkadelic, there's no way that I could ever come close to being that.
Okay.
So, you know, so I don't look at it as being a replacement.
Okay.
You know, what I look at it as being up there to uphold the legacy.
Oh,
That's
beautiful.
what it is.
Respect.
That's beautiful.
That's what that is. Now, this might sound a little cocky, but it's not meant to be that way. But Parliament Funkadelic, in its heyday, a lot, especially the live thing, the presence that my father brought to that meant a lot to
Assets.
it meant a lot to making that thing work the way it did.
Okay.
His swag, you know what I mean? That thing that he did and that he brought to that live concert every night, that thing that he did, it's a Shider thing.
Okay. I know that's right.
My dad has 5 brothers. His younger ones, at least 2 of the younger ones, I could point to his brother, my Uncle Kevin and my Uncle Nathan. You could look at them cats and you can tell that they come up when their brother was already doing the thing, and that they kind of, you know, they pattern their whole thing after Big Bro.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But that thing that they do, that we got, we all do that.
Okay.
We all do that. My granddad started that. I'll tell you another story right now. My pops was not a was not a trained musician. Not it didn't take lessons or anything like that. My granddad Jesse Shider was a gospel musician,
Okay.
played guitar, sang, and also had a band. Now, when my dad and my uncle Tommy, who is this, my dad's the oldest, and my uncle Tommy, who is the second oldest, when they were of age in his mind, which probably 9 years old,
Okay.
10 years
Man.
old,
No doubt.
were put into his band. He made a band around them and a couple of their friends, the Shider family band. No, the Plainfield Gospel Tones is what they called it. The Plainfield Gospel Tones. And my dad was kind of the main attraction. He was the Michael. He was the, you know, he was that. I've seen pictures of it. Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. Him holding the guitars, you know, taller than him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's that. So my grandfather is the one who is the matriarch of that. You know what I'm saying? Now the Plainfield Gospel Tones were the backing band for acts like Shirley Caesar.
Oh wow.
The Blind Boys of Alabama.
Oh, the huge gospel acts.
Huge gospel acts of the 50s and 60s.
That's amazing.
These are cats that my father was playing behind when he was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. This is how my dad learned.
Awesome.
This is how they all learned. This is what was going on in the Shider household, you know what I mean, before I was even a thought of, you know what I mean? So they all got this thing. Even my aunt, who passed away when I was 10 years old, I'd never heard her. But anyone that knows her from when she was young and has ever heard her do her thing, I've always heard that she was probably an even more amazing singer than my dad. You know what I'm saying? Music is a Shider thing, and we do the thing a certain way. And back to my point, that thing that my dad did is a Shider thing. So now that is what I am on that stage for. Not the exact same thing, because I am not schooled enough to be able to do it like the original.
Gotcha.
But the presence of a Shider on that stage, in my opinion, is an important thing.
I mean, the history you just told us, man, is more profound than I thought this interview would be, man. I mean, when you're talking about, which I think a lot of, you know, most stars, the gospel influence on musicians and R&B and jazz, and it's just always like the first introduction to music for today's stars or yesterday's stars, you know? Did you ever do the church thing, or you just came through the funk?
I did not go to church at all.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you know, I couldn't be raised in church because I come up, my pops was a full-time musician.
Right.
You know, he did not have time for church.
Okay.
You know, he hardly had time for home. So,
Gotcha.
You know, so I got a chance to study. They sent me to the Duke Ellington School, and I spent 3 years there. So I got a chance to have a little training, and then
go to school with some pretty bras.
That too. And then get a chance to be raised by some of the greatest musicians, you know, in the world.
So, that's awesome.
That's my education.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
So let me ask you something, Garrett. I worked with your father on a couple of occasions, and it was a pleasure working with him. But how many times in your life have you got fired? And I know you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Well, you know what? When I
sounds interesting though.
You know what? It was a saying on the road, especially. It's like you haven't arrived, or you're not officially in the band, or in the circle until you've been fired by Gary and shit. Yeah, that's what it is and shit.
So
It's kind of it was his way of kind of hazing you into the band.
Gotcha.
Like I said, he was a ball buster. You know what I'm saying? So it's his way of just basically busting your balls, but he had a way of busting your balls to where you didn't know if he was like really wearing you out about something or whether or not he was playing. You know what I mean?
So get your shit and leave, nigga.
Yeah,
give me a hug.
Exactly. You know what? What you just did, you must have met my father once or twice. I swear to God. Exactly that. Exactly what you just did. Yeah, exactly what you just did, bro.
Man.
Exactly what you just did. Now, I used to get, you know what? Because I lived with him, and I'm the person I am, when I ain't trying to hear that shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to let you know, look, man, don't come mess with me with that shit right now. And him, I guess, since we live together and he knows me and knows that of me, if I wasn't in the mood to be hearing that shit, he'd go to the next person and go find the next person, right?
How about that?
Now, quick question, right? Wildest tour story.
Uh-huh.
What was the wildest experience on tour?
Or
funniest, something memorable.
Man, I've had a lot,
Top
fucking
three.
lot. Here's one. Okay, my father introduced me to Bruce Willis one time.
Oh, yeah?
When I first kind of started going on the road. I started going on the road as soon as I left high school when I was about 18 years old, and I did it till I was about 24, right? So back then, my father, we played in Montana, and they had, when Bruce was married to Demi, they lived in Montana, and they had this house that was like massive, right? Had a nightclub like on the property or on the premises or something like that. And they had played at this nightclub, maybe a couple of years prior. So my father had probably met Bruce Willis then, right? So now I'm out here and we're playing it's not their club, but we're playing at a club in Montana, in Missoula, Montana. And my father pulls me aside and he introduces me to Bruce Willis. Now, he had to introduce me because, of course you would think you would recognize him like, oh, that's Bruce Willis, as many movies as you've seen him in. But he had come, he was like in full club gear, and it's probably like the late 90s. So, the club thing back then, motherfuckers used to wear the tight shirts and shit. Right. Yeah, and some slacks, and he had on like, I forgot, I don't know what you call the kind of hat that is kind of just, it's just kind of not even a hat. It's just kind of a covers the top of your head kind of thing, like right?
Yarmulke.
Exactly. Oh. No, not a yarmulke. Not a kufi. It was a hat. Yeah. I don't know what you would explain it as, but he was kind of dressed. He was dressed in club attire, and he had this porn stash. I never forget it. He had this porn stash, right? So it was totally like, you would not just point him out and be like, that's Bruce Willis. So now my father pulls me aside. He's like, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody. This is Bruce Willis. And he turns around. I'm like, oh, shit, shocked because, he's dressed down and he turns around and you're Bruce Willis. I didn't even realize it, right? He says to me in this voice, hi, I'm Bruce. In that voice, hi, I'm Bruce. And shakes my hand and shit. Now I'm like, yeah, I know who you are. I'm like, damn, cool to meet you. And he's like, hey, all right, nice to meet you. He's like, come on, I want to talk to you. He pulls me aside and he's like, I grew this weed, man. I want you to try this out for me. He puts this bag of weed in my hand.
White boys always got weed.
I want you to try this out and let me know what you think about it, okay?
Wow.
That's an awesome Bruce Willis story.
Gave me weed. Every time I see Bruce Willis on TV, I tell Bruce Willis gave me weed before, dog. Yeah, Bruce Willis gave me weed before. So there's that one, right?
That's right.
So there's that one, right? All right, so now my first official tour, we did the Smoke and Grooves tour. This was in like 1997. I was 19, right?
Was Snoop on that tour?
No,
it's up in Smoke.
Cypress Hill.
Remember? I went to that shit.
Yeah, this is Smoke and Grooves. This is Cypress Hill used to, I think this was their tour because they used to be on it all the time. So now this year I was on it. Cypress Hill, Erykah Badu, she had just come out.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was on this tour? Outkast, a couple of dates. The Roots were on this tour.
That's when they were all fresh. Too.
Yeah, it was really a cool tour, right? Mm-hmm. So now we played Camden, New Jersey.
The hood.
Yeah. So now I was 18 at the time, 19 at the time. It was a couple other cats used to be on the road with me too that was about my age. So we all kind of used to hang together. And our thing was every city that we would go to, we would go find a mall, go hang out, go shop, go look for some women, or, do teenage things or whatever the case, right? So we've, gone out, we've hung out, we've shopped, we've done all of this. So now we come back to the venue, run up on our bus, on our tour bus, right? Get up on the bus, the three of us, boom, 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 boom. And sitting right there is Busta Rhymes and Spliff Star. They're sitting there watching video of themselves on the same tour, the Smoke and Grooves tour, the year prior in Camden. They were in Camden. They were on the tour the year before us. Mm-hmm. And the same stop, they were looking at their show. Right. We all walk up on the bus carrying bags and all three, it was two other cats with me. All three of us, we walked on the bus and we all kind of are walking by and like, doing double and triple takes, but we all just kind of keep walking all the way to the back lounge of the bus, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But all of us are like, so we all kind of get to the back lounge and we all kind of do the little, teenage huddle thing. It's like, yo, that's Busta Rhymes up there, right? Like, yeah, and Spliff Star, they just till they up there, they're just smoking the blunt, passing the blunt back and forth, and they just watching show themselves from last year prior. We like, that's Busta Rhymes up there, right? I'm like, yeah, that's Busta. It's like, man, let's go talk to him and shit, So, we got up a little nerve. We all walked up and we all kind of just casually just like sat around. It's like, what's up, Busta? And he was mad cool. He was cool as fuck, dude. He was just like, what's up, cat? He was all hyper and all.
Is that nigga really animated like that?
He was all that, dude. Okay. He was so cool. He kicked it with us. He passed us his blunt. We rolling up blunts because now we want, here, man, hit my blunt and and we just asking him questions. So the one homie that was with us was from Ohio. The other dude was from Jersey, and I'm from DC, right? So now the Ohio cat that we hanging with, we always, he was like the square or whatever. Right. We loved him to death, but he was like the square.
And my mom's from Cincinnati, I know them.
Yeah, so now he's the one, and this is 97. He's the one, he had the Hot Boys before they had hit the scene. He had a Hot Boys CD and was telling us like, they getting ready to be the shit. They getting ready to be the shit.
Knew.
Yeah, well, the East Coasters, that's some bullshit. We hate that shit, and he was always, and Master P and him without. So the Ohio boy, he was always going on about Master P, and we hated him. He loved him, right? So now we on the bus, we talking with Busta and shit. We just asking him all types of questions. So my Ohio boy, my man Juan, Magic Juan, what's up, dog? If you get to listen, he asked him, Busta, what you like Master P? What you think about Master P? And Busta gets hyped. He's like, oh, hell yeah. God, is there heaven for a gangster? Gangster. Like, oh, hype. Oh, hell yeah, man. That's my shit right there. And me and my East Coast homie looking at each other like, oh, this nigga, how he gonna say he like, man. And he from New York.
The Mecca.
Yeah. So there's that one. Busta was cool as hell. And you know what, even deeper than that, and then we end up seeing Busta like some months later George did this TV show, this thing Motown Live that used to come on TV, and he did it with Busta Rhymes and Shaquille O'Neal. This was during the NBA lockout, and Shaq had put a record out.
Okay, it's about 99.
Yeah, about 99. Shaq had put a record out, and we was on Motown Live, and we ran into Busta was on the gig. He had just introduced the Flip Mode Squad, Rod Digger, and
they was hot back then too.
Yeah,
so, no
this was he was on his second record, and he was introducing them, and Shaq and his record, his whatever
we don't
he
need
had
no hooks.
The one he had done.
What's the name of his record?
He had done it with the one.
Think of nothing,
he had that record. He had that record out with Peter Gunn.
Yeah,
at the time, and he did that on the show,
exactly.
And we ran into Busta again, and he remembered us. You know what I'm saying? He was like, "Oh yeah, I remember y'all the cats from the bus and shit." You know, he was cool like that, man. He was really cool like that, man. And that was that. And you know what? Nah, I ain't gonna tell y'all that story.
So it seemed like all the cats you encountered appear to be down to earth. Do you ever come across motherfuckers that take their celebrity way too serious?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know, they did a gig with Kanye, and Kanye is another cat who called security on the band because of the weed smoking, and
really,
and then even deeper than that. This was some years ago though, and then even deeper than that, went on stage to do his thing, stopped his whole show, and pointed the security, had security pointed some kid out in the audience who had lit up a joint.
Oh wow!
And had them come get him and shit. You know?
Kanye snitching.
Kanye, you gay.
Yeah, he was kind of corny.
Kind of gay West, man.
You know, and like, man, I did a record with Swiss Beats back in 08, right? So I had to go up to New York City, you know, to meet with the A&R. They got me through the record, whatever, right? But man, all the niggas that I ain't gonna put no names out there, but some of the hardest, thuggest rap niggas, man, they be sitting in the lab like little bitches. One nigga was like, "Okay, you're gonna smoke with me. You're gonna smoke with me, and nobody else is." I said, "Yo, nigga, if I tell you this nigga name, you'd be like, there's no fucking way." You know, but I find a culture like of softness within that so hard community, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you know what? Music has always been about storytelling, man. You know what I'm saying? So
story, the operative word.
Yeah, so you can't never buy into the 100% of what nobody's selling. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still
exactly.
Like, how about this? You know, I listened to George talk about how he used to he couldn't believe how bought into some of the stuff that he was saying, and you know, like some of the you know, like the mothership shit and all of that. He couldn't believe how bought into that. To those concepts, some of the people were.
Motherfuckers thought Martians was outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was like he said he remembered when he started. He said he remembered when he realized it was getting cultish. You know what I'm saying?
Rush out that, bro.
Yeah, and his whole thing is, well, shit, I'm just joking around and shit, but.
See, music is so emotional, man, and you got to look at it like this. You know, say you go through something at home, you go hop in your car, and you throwing Parliament. So that bond you get while you're angry or whatever, or sad or whatever, that music is so dear to you because you can always go back to a time in life and pinpoint the song that was important to you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean? So I can see where people take that to heart and feel like, yeah, I'm going to ride this mothership till that motherfucker lands in my yard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So and now no one really even pays that part any attention. Like, see, I think biggest problem with music today is the musicians or the artists are not really artists. You know what I'm saying?
We touched on that.
They just some cats who can buy some equipment and put a beat together, talk some shit over a beat, and get popular. Now the game is just about getting popular. You know what I mean? This, the social media thing and how that's tied into it now. Now that now tells the story of who and how important you are. You don't have to have a hit record on the radio if you can gain you a couple of 100,000 followers.
Exactly.
If you can do that and can go to a promoter and prove to him, look, bro, tap my social media and see how many followers. Like, I know you ain't heard me on the radio, but check that out.
Right.
People know who I am.
I get 10,000 out at your festival.
Yeah, people know who I am. Okay, I'm a book you. I'm definitely gonna book.
Right.
I'm definitely gonna book you. You
That's
know
awesome.
what I'm saying?
That's
That's what it's about now. You know, the music. You know, like you know what I'm kind of finding out the popular sentiment now amongst the next generation of listeners. The more that you trying to talk about something, the more turned off they get by that.
They don't want to learn nothing.
They don't want to think when they listen to their music. They just want to dance and be in whatever zone they trying to be in.
Yeah.
And whatever that mumble or repetitive thing or that whatever that thing is that's in their music that's got them, you know, takes them there. That's all they want to hear, which is very reminiscent of the '60s and, you know, the acid rock,
Woodstock and all that shit.
yeah, all that shit right there. You know, the motherfuckers get to playing all that. Jimi Hendrix get to playing all them. You know, and it's nothing.
I mean, I like Jimi Hendrix, but I sit there like, man, I just don't.
Well, exactly. He's not. You know, he's not playing anything technical or anything that he learned in school.
Right.
He's just putting. You know, he's just the one motherfucker who said, "I'm gonna turn this joint up here."
Bend the hell out of that motherfucker.
Damn, it's making a lot of noise. You know what?
Right.
And I'm gonna take a hit of acid when I do it, and it's gonna, you know, because guitar. I don't know about other instruments, but I know I can speak from experience about guitar. Guitar is a feel instrument. Everyone has different feel. You might can play like somebody, but your feel is your feel. You know, like when you start doing what it is that you do, it's going to be something that somebody else probably will have to learn to be able to mimic, right?
Okay.
So with that being said, now you taking a hit of acid and you just kind of going, you know, just you're not even really playing. You just kind of just letting the trip and letting your fingers just kind of do what they do, and in your mind you actually painting the picture.
Right.
So with that being said, I'm not going to understand that picture unless I can go to that zone with you.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
you might have to take the same drugs.
exactly. There's something in the music, you know, and even okay, white folks in country music. Well, I'm not gonna say white. That's very racist. I'm sorry.
It's pretty accurate.
No, come on, y'all. We are in
I
the
watched the
racially.
CMAs, man. I saw like two
Come
black
on, man.
niggas.
This is a racially tense time. I'm not gonna be up here talking no racist shit if I can help it. I ain't gonna be the one throwing fuel on the fire.
I know you got white fans, Garrett, but since you brought it up,
I love everybody. I don't give a shit.
Hey,
I love
what do you
everybody. I love
think-
you all.
What do you think about the racial tension, especially? I know we got to wrap up, but I'm going to ask one serious question. What do you think about the way police treat people in the States versus how you see it done elsewhere? Like in London, where you're not allowed to carry weapons. So I know it's way different the way they police over there.
Okay, how about this? Here's the point right here. I know this for a fact in the UK. I can't really recall it in some of the other countries, but the UK, they do not carry guns.
Exactly.
Their policemen do not carry guns.
Exactly.
And they do not have half of the issues that we have here as far as crime. They don't have mass shootings, you know, they don't have this kind of shit. You know, the only thing that they got going on over there in the UK is that CCTV. Scotland Yards, they watching every fucking corner of the UK.
And you can't get stabbed up over that motherfucker.
Yo, yeah, you can, bruh. This because they watching it don't mean that they, you know, you can't stop everything.
Right.
You can't stop everything. You know, like what you got to understand is, you know, it's from their perspective. They got certain things take priority over other things. So am I gonna bust this guy smoking a joint on the corner, or am I gonna try to get this cat over here who's robbing the bank?
Gotcha.
You know,
Gotcha.
It's that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, but the fact that they don't need guns, you know, that is the point right there.
Yeah.
Here, how about this? Right now, I'm listening, you know, I'm an avid sports fan. I'm on ESPN all day, and I see this shit that's happening with Colin Kaepernick, right?
Yeah.
People are mad at him, or whether they're purposely trying to disregard what it is he's protesting about, or whether they're just, can't see past what it is he's doing. They're upset with him because he's not standing for the anthem, right? He's protesting. He's exercising a God-given amendment. He's active. He's that's one of his. It's in the Constitution
Absolutely.
that he's got a right to do that, right?
Absolutely. Right. To protest.
The same people that are upset with him are the same kind of people who, when you tell them we need way more gun control and gun laws and that.
Oh yeah, Second Amendment.
I got a Second Amendment right that says I can carry as many guns. You know what I'm saying?
Double standard, man.
That's the biggest problem is one of the biggest problems, hypocrisy, and the fact that people don't listen anymore. You can't even argue with anybody or debate with anybody because they're not trying to listen. They're not trying to hear you. You can't convince anybody.
Right.
So what I'm getting at is, it's obvious that we, as colored folks or minorities or whatever it is, it's obvious that you're never going to be able to get everybody united on we're being treated unfairly or we're being treated differently. You're not going to be able to get everybody to see that. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's some
impossible. People are called individuals for a reason, bro, because everyone thinks their own way, man. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has their own opinion how things go, and you're not going to be able to, but you're not going to be able to sway anybody. So with that being said, everyone's dug in where they're dug in.
They're taking sides.
And they're taking sides. You know what I'm saying? You can't split the line,
Yeah.
It's either this or it's that. And
even if it's right, even if it's wrong, it's
and we don't care if you trying to show, we're not, yeah, you made a good point. Guess what? Right. Fuck your point.
Right. Yeah, the Second Amendment and the Star Spangled Banner are two different things.
And same thing on our side. You know, we do the same. Our people, I love our people, but we got the biggest issue of playing the race card and calling someone a racist.
Yes, indeed.
When and then turn around and being the biggest racist,
We're the most
we
racist.
Probably the most racist.
Dark-skinned and light-skinned people. I mean,
well, I grew up in the suburbs, right? I grew up in Fairfax County, but I had cousins that lived in the Southeast, so it was a constant weekend where we're over there, they're over here. I can tell you when they would come over to Fairfax County, they would be like, "Man, y'all got white people out here, man." Mm-hmm. Sometimes all you know is what you're around.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
So we have to understand that no matter how egregious the shit that we have to go through is, there is people out there who just ain't never seen it.
Right.
And can't fathom the fact that it will happen.
And it goes the same way with the white people that have never seen black people in their neighborhood.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. They can't fathom it. They can't fathom it. They've never seen an officer who wasn't nice to them.
Right.
So
how could that be?
Yeah, so if he shot that black man, he had to have done something wrong.
Yeah. Right.
They said he was selling cigarettes.
Oh, that's a fucking...
If he hadn't been selling
cigarettes, offense by murder.
If he hadn't been selling cigarettes, then he wouldn't have been killed. Right. I wouldn't have been selling cigarettes on the corner, so I would not be in the position to be, I wouldn't be... I don't think it would happen to me because I wouldn't be selling cigarettes on the corner.
Or he had a legal gun, but we weren't sure he was going to use it or not, so we had to kill him.
Yeah, it's a huge problem for us.
Yeah, man, and it's something that I honestly I don't think it's going to change, because I travel and I realize that, for what we go through, there are other people in other countries that go through even worse racism than what we experience over here.
Yeah.
So
those Europeans don't love the blacks over there.
And not even over there. I'm talking about all over this world. Mm-hmm. All over this world. Like you said, it's light skin, hate dark skin, and this, that, and the third. Dude, what I realize, a lot of folks who don't travel a lot don't realize that even in some of these places, these countries that you think only are white countries, there are black French people, there are black Germans, there are black people from Belgium, there are black people, the UK folks, there are black Irish, there are black and brown people all over the place. You see what I'm saying? Absolutely. And with that, everybody has a little bit of racism embedded in them. It just depends on how much you grew up with. And what you have to also understand, what I also realize is, here we are a way more sensitive society. We, offended very easily by everything.
Yeah.
And
Way
when
too much.
when I travel to other countries, I realize that, like, they talk to you blunt. They say things directly to you, and they don't care about how it hurts.
No
like,
No sugarcoat.
yeah, they don't.
No
They don't
cut.
sugarcoat things when they say things to you. You walk through the airports, you're gonna get bumped into. They're not gonna say excuse me.
Oh, I turn into that nigga on that Super Bowl commercial. I'll be tackling niggas. Is what we gonna do, nigga?
Well, see, that's what I'm saying,
You
and,
know?
and that's what I'm saying. You see, we gotta realize that. That's the one thing that I would say to our people. We have to realize that no matter how bad it is here, it's not just here. The
Right.
racism is
Where there's
racism
color.
is rampant everywhere. Everywhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Our biggest problem is we perpetuate all the negative stereotypes that make these folks treat us the way that they treat us.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think we could change, and that think that we probably could stand to take a good look at ourselves on that right there. We perpetuate all those negatives, are proud to perpetuate all those negative stereotypes that makes them treat us the way that we do. So
what it's saying, y'all niggas need to change a little bit, man.
yeah, and
You know,
everybody,
little bit.
all of us have to change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can't just sit back and expect the world to change for us.
Right.
We have to realize that it's not, and we all kind of got to change a little bit.
Right.
So get you some good weed, smoke it, and go listen to the One Nation Under a Groove.
Just get something on your mind. You know what I'm saying? Get
Thank
something
you.
on your
Please,
mind. That's
read
what
a
you
book,
got to
man.
do. Get
Enlighten
something on your
yourself.
minds,
Exactly.
and realize that there is a whole huge world out there.
Yes.
There is a huge world out there, and there are way more things going on in this world than what's going on in your area.
Right.
So don't get boxed into the things that are going on in your area.
Absolutely.
Educate yourself to the world. You know what I'm saying? That's the best thing that we could do for ourselves. And I tell you what, the beating that we have taken all in our existence has kind of inbred us to kind of be the way that we are. It's easy to kind of give up, when people just keep kicking on you, and it's gotten to a point where, especially with this next generation, in the way it looks like they've just kind of given up on putting something on their minds that's going to make a difference in the world, or it's really going to influence some kind of change. Like we all want quick money, and we all want it a few different ways. We want to be athletes, or we want to be rappers, or we want to be drug dealers. That's the common thing. Right. And like I said, we perpetuate them stereotypes because it's all over the TV. It's all over everything that we listen to, and all the media that we take in. That's what we see. We see pimps, drug dealers, athletes, or rappers.
That's what they're willing to show.
That's all they're
they
willing
never
to
show
show
the
us.
doctors and the scientists and the lawyers.
And when they were willing to do that, which is more, I think when I came up as a teenager in the 90s, I think the 90s, we were making a little bit of progress. And if you really look at the media that was out then, a lot of it was a lot more positive. Yeah, you had your minister societies and all this, that, and the third, and boys in the hoods. But even that kind of stuff was done in a more way to kind of educate you and kind of say, hey, y'all, wake up.
Pros and cons,
Yeah.
No doubt.
And even deeper than that, you could also go from that and turn on Different World and see black folks in college, Cosby Show, and see black doctors, black lawyers, and
Only thing I wouldn't want that guy delivering my baby.
Well,
I think he might drug my girl and smash her.
yeah, I know.
Find out it's not your baby.
Fucking Heathcliff Huxtable and shit, man.
I know,
he
man.
flipped the script on a nigga, man.
Damn it, clear.
Well, look here, man. Garrett, it's been great, man. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. The Pod Squad. We love having excellent guests like yourself, man. And we just want to thank you, bro.
I appreciate y'all having me. Have me back again sometime.
Oh,
Before
know
you
I'm
leave, can you shout out your show? You said you have a show on Saturday.
Oh yeah, man. Y'all come past Canal Park September 10th. I believe we play from 5:45 to 6:45, and it's a free show. So nobody hit me up about the guest list. Just bring your ass. Just bring your ass. It's a free show. And we'll also be at the 930 Club on the 24th of this month. And I think that's around the time of that Funketeers ball and the induction of the mothership into the Smithsonian.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going to be a cool couple of days.
Nice.
But the 930 Club, we will be playing that evening on September 24th. So you come check us out that day too. That is not a free show, and still don't hit me up about the guest list.
What are the average tickets? You know, because man, I fucking priced some goddamn Mary J. Maxwell tickets. Man, they wanted $200 for the nosebleeds.
Okay, well,
Serious?
I'll tell you what.
Fucking concerts out of control.
I'm pretty sure that our show is not gonna cost that much money. Yeah, you
No
do.
doubt.
Yeah.
Okay.
So come check us out. You know, like I say, I'm kind of just kidding. I hook up who I can. Guest list is a tricky situation, but you know.
Yeah, but you know, I'd rather support than just to come to say, "Oh man, we had him on the show, so we want to be a guest." Nah, we're here to support, bro. You supported us. We will definitely support you guys.
Like I said, have me back sometime, man. I'll be
definitely,
glad. I'm
definitely.
local. I'll come check it out.
Absolutely,
come
man.
talk shit with y'all some more.
This was very informative, man. We really appreciate it.
That's what's up.
Pod Squad, baby.
Pod Squad.
Pod Squad.
Already.